The docking corridor groaned like an ancient beast reluctantly waking from hibernation. Ren stopped mid-step, balancing a steaming mug of synth coffee in one hand and a loose tool belt slung over his shoulder. Somewhere behind the bulkheads, hydraulic arms were still hissing and clanking as they secured the alien transport vessel to the human station. Probably too late to pretend he was busy elsewhere. He considered turning back. He didn't technically need to greet the new diplomatic arrivals. It wasn't in his job description to smile politely and not insult galactic dignitaries. He was a mechanic, after all. He fixed air scrubbers, rebooted dying AI cores, and coaxed stubborn fusion converters into behaving. He did not do politics, or diplomacy, or foreign customs that required 3 bows and a fruit offering before saying hello. But command had insisted. "You're the only one who speaks standard and Saurian phase dialect," his supervisor had said, pointing at a clipboard like that settled the matter. "And you're less likely to accidentally start a war than Chavez." Ren still wasn't sure if that was a compliment. The pressure doors hissed open and 3 figures stepped into the corridor. The first 2 were guards, tall and unreadable behind their helmed armor. Between them walked Kalira. Ren blinked. She looked human, almost. Pale skin, sharp golden hair pulled into a braid that curled down over one armored shoulder. Her eyes were crystalline and cool, their color shifting ever so slightly as if reacting to the artificial lights above. And her ears, long, elegant, pointed just enough to be strange, like she was constantly halfway through hearing a secret. She stopped a meter from him and tilted her head. The guards flanked her in silence like living statues. "You are the translator engineer," Kalira said. Her voice was clear, precise, and lacked any inflection that might indicate whether she approved of him or would soon have him vaporized. "I prefer resident miracle worker, but yeah," Ren replied, offering a half-smile. "I'm Ren. I will commit this name to temporary memory," she said flatly. "Ouch," Ren muttered into his mug, starting strong. Kalira blinked once, then reached into her armored sleeve and produced a slim device the size of a finger. She pressed it against the nearest wall panel and activated it with a chirp. "I require environmental schematics, security blind spots, and your ship's culinary storage manifest," she said. Ren nearly choked on his coffee. "You want floor plans, security holes, and a snack list." She nodded. "Just for the record, when humans want to make friends, we usually start with small talk, like, 'Nice station you've got here,' or 'That's an impressive mop collection.' Efficiency is more polite than irrelevant chatter." "Right. Remind me to never take you to karaoke night." Her head tilted again, just slightly. "Karaoke is the ritual performance of vocal discordance for group bonding." "That," Ren said, impressed, "is the most accurate description of it I've ever heard." They walked together toward the command deck. The guards stayed behind without a word, and Ren didn't miss the slight tension that left Kalira's shoulders once they were out of sight. Her armor still gleamed, a lattice of ceramic scales interlocked with strange fluidic seams that shimmered faintly when she moved. Alien tech always made him want to poke it with something. "So," he tried again casually, "are all Saurian emissaries as cheerful as you?" "Statistically, no." Ren raised an eyebrow. Was that a joke? She paused. It was an empirical comparison, not humor. "Still counts." She gave no indication that she cared. The walk to the command deck took 10 minutes, during which Kalira asked 17 questions, all precise and technical: power grid schematics, AI latency thresholds, food rationing patterns across crew ranks. Ren answered most of them while trying not to trip over loose conduits or spill his coffee. It wasn't until they passed a viewing port that she fell silent. Beyond the glass, the stars hung motionless, frozen in black velvet. And below, the fractured husk of a broken moon spun slowly, like a wounded animal turning in sleep. A ship graveyard drifted across its surface, long-dead war relics from both their species, rusted into silence. Kalira stopped. "I fought here," she said quietly, "3 rotations ago, The war ended not long after. Ren followed her gaze. Yeah, he said, that's why this station exists. Joint Peace Initiative. Bridge of Unity, they call it. Sounds like a hotel conference room. Her eyes remained on the wreckage. I lost many here. Ren sipped his coffee, giving her space. I lost some too, not in that battle, but close enough. Kalira's expression didn't change, but something in the angle of her ears shifted. She straightened and resumed walking without a word. They arrived at the command deck, where two humans were in a heated debate over whether the station's recycled water tasted like soap or sadness. Kalira ignored them entirely. Your species bonds through antagonistic jest, she observed, curious. We call it friendship, Ren said. Takes years to master, and questionable taste in beverages. Later, when her quarters were assigned and her requests forwarded to command, Kalira lingered outside the mechanical bay. You are unexpectedly inefficient, she said. Ren looked up from the disassembled hydrocell he was balancing on one knee. Thanks, but your system's knowledge is adequate. And there it is, a compliment wrapped in a slap. Her lips parted slightly, uncertain. Then she asked, what is the function of the rubber chicken in your storage closet? Ren froze. You were in my closet. I was inspecting local customs. It squeaks, that's the function. That is illogical. That's humanity. She turned and began walking away. After 3 steps she paused, glancing back over her shoulder. I will require further inspection of your rubber artifacts, she said. Ren grinned. Any time, Ambassador. Her ears twitched, just barely, and then she was gone. The survey vessel Skylace was, by all measurable standards, a disaster. Its walls creaked like ancient bones, its primary stabilizers had a tendency to twitch mid-course, and its onboard AI spoke in what Ren described as grandma sarcasm. Still, it was what they had. The mission brief had been simple: joint planetary scan of Exo 27C, a gas giant's moon recently pinging anomalous magnetic activity. The human and Saurian coalitions wanted to make sure it wasn't something dangerous or profitable enough to start another war over. Ren had packed a lunch. Kalira had packed 4 weapons and a portable diplomacy core. The cockpit was cramped. Ren's knees were pressed against a console that blinked suspiciously every 10 seconds, and Kalira sat rigid in the co-pilot's seat, observing controls like they were riddles she wasn't amused by. Her armor was retracted to a lighter exosuit, still layered with sensors but flexible enough to allow movement. Not that she moved much. Only her eyes and ears shifted, scanning, calculating, judging. I recalibrated the forward scanner, she said, not looking up. It was off by 0.7 degrees. Ren sipped his drink pouch. Thanks, I was hoping to fly us directly into a mountain. Really sets the mood. Kalira didn't answer, which might have meant she didn't get the joke, or that she'd filed it away for evidence of further human mental instability. As the ship broke atmosphere, the window shields lifted to reveal the moon's surface, a stretch of pale orange dust and jagged crystalline ridges. Unstable magnetic pulses lit up their instruments like a fireworks show on bad wiring. Looks like nature forgot how to behave, Ren muttered. Kalira tapped a sequence into the terminal. Gravitational fluctuations inconsistent with expected planetary decay. Anomalous readings detected beneath the surface. Beneath, Ren leaned closer. You're thinking tunnels. I am thinking ruins, Kalira said calmly. Possibly pre-Saurian, possibly pre-everything. Ren whistled. Pre-everything is my favorite kind of terrifying. The AI coughed over the intercom. Warning, stabilizers offline, please prepare to crash responsibly. Kalira blinked. Was that a threat? No, Ren sighed. That's just her way of asking for attention. The Skylace jolted hard as it descended, landing in a swirl of orange dust that coated the hull like powdered rust. The landing struts moaned. Something sparked near the rear. Ren slapped the console. Nailed it. Kalira unbuckled and rose gracefully, her boots making no sound. Define nailed. Landed, he replied. and nobody exploded. That's a 2-point landing where I come from. Outside, the air was thin but breathable. Kalira activated a shielding veil that shimmered across her suit. Ren adjusted his atmosphere pack and grabbed the scanning module. Together, they stepped into the unknown. The surface was dry, crackling with static energy that made the hair on Ren's arms stand up. Crystalline spires jutted from the ground at strange angles, like fossilized lightning bolts. Kalira knelt near one, scanning with her gauntlet. Composition unknown, resonance patterns mathematical. Ren crouched beside her, as in someone built this. As in someone shaped it. He stared at the massive spire. Weird hobby. They followed the signal through a canyon of fractured glass rock and eventually came upon an entrance. A doorway carved right into the cliff. The edges glowed faintly as if welcoming them, or warning them. Ren turned on his lamp. I have a bad feeling this is the part of the movie where the expendable side character says something dumb and dies. Kalira stepped inside first. Do not say dumb things. Too late. The chamber inside was vast, circular, and eerily silent. Alien glyphs covered the walls, sweeping lines and intersecting loops that pulsed gently. A low hum vibrated in the floor, rhythmic like a heartbeat. Kalira stood motionless, her gaze fixed upward. This is not a ruin, she whispered. This is still active. Ren tapped the nearest glyph. It hissed and projected a holographic map into the air. He jumped back, startled. Okay, not dead technology. Good to know. The map rotated slowly, spherical layers with orbiting symbols that seemed to shift when Kalira walked beneath them. Ren whistled. You think this is a control room? Or a prison, Kalira said. We don't yet know which. That did wonders for Ren's blood pressure. A sudden tremor shook the chamber. The glyphs brightened, and a voice, unintelligible but oddly melodic, echoed around them. Kalira drew her weapon. Ren stepped behind a console, then the lights dimmed and the voice ceased. Ren peeked over the edge. Well, I touched it, so if anything exploded, it's technically my fault. Kalira lowered her weapon. Your pattern is predictable. It's called consistency, he said. You should try it, maybe smile once in a while. I have not been instructed to smile. Ren grinned. That explains a lot. On their way back, the crystalline spires hummed louder. The energy field in the air began to react to Kalira's suit, lighting up in pulses as she walked. By the time they reached the ship, a long, thin trail of glowing symbols marked the path behind her. Ren glanced at the line. I think it likes you. Kalira frowned. That is unlikely. I didn't say you liked it back. When they boarded the Skylace, the ship's AI was sulking. I warned you not to activate unknown alien structures, it muttered. We didn't activate it, Ren said. We just knocked politely. Kalira turned back toward the moon, the glowing trail still visible beneath the rising dust. Something woke up, she said softly. Ren slumped into the pilot's seat. Yeah, and if it wants a snack, I vote we feed it someone else. Kalira didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on the horizon, ears slightly twitching. Ren stared at the diagnostic panel, then turned it upside down. As expected, it made no more sense that way. So either this thing is broken, he muttered, tapping it, or it's speaking in the forbidden dialect of caffeinated gibberish. The ship's AI replied in its usual dry tone. The scanner is functioning correctly. You are not. Thanks, Grandma. Kalira stood nearby, arms folded, eyes locked on the hovering projection that displayed a pulsating map of EXO 27C's subterranean structures. The anomalies they'd discovered were not fading. They were spreading. Lines of energy now radiated from the chamber they had entered, spiderwebbing beneath the planet's crust like veins waking up after a long sleep. Expansion rate has increased by 2% in the last cycle, Kalira said. Ren rubbed his eyes. So what, it's growing? She nodded. Or reacting, possibly to us, possibly to our presence, possibly to your touching everything you shouldn't have. Ren raised a hand. I only touched one thing, two max, and one of them might have been a sandwich. Kalira glanced at him. You consumed the alien structure. Relax. It was definitely a sandwich, probably. They had returned to the Solace Arcadia to regroup, report the findings, and, Ren's favorite part, pretend they weren't on the edge of some potentially galactic-scale awakening. Command was, unsurprisingly, more interested in the possibility of energy resources than dangerously mysterious alien tech, and had sent word for Ren and Kalira to prepare for a second expedition. Ren now found himself in the cargo bay, attempting to retrofit a portable scanner to pick up deep-wave frequencies from beneath the surface. Kalira had offered to help, but after she recalibrated every component to a degree of obsessive perfection, Ren had quietly asked her to let the amateur have his fun. She now watched him work with the same expression one might reserve for watching a child build a tower of glassware during an earthquake. "I'm just saying," Ren continued, tightening a capacitor, "if this thing turns out to be some ancient alien AI waking up to judge all sentient life, we should at least bring snacks." Kalira arched an eyebrow. "You believe humor will protect us from judgment. Hasn't failed me yet." She did. "That sounds aggressively bleak." "It was considered optimal." Ren leaned back. "And here I thought growing up next to a sewer plant was rough." As they entered the moon's atmosphere again, the energy signatures were visibly stronger. From above, the glowing lines resembled circuitry, an ancient grid beneath the dust. The shuttle touched down near the original site, but the terrain had shifted. The crystalline spires now hummed louder, and strange, vine-like structures of light slithered just under the surface. Kalira stepped forward, her boots pressing down on the strange illumination. The lines responded, pulsing upward into her suit. "Still think it's not into you?" Ren asked. Kalira didn't answer. She walked ahead. Inside the chamber, the glyphs from before were active, more so than before. They hovered midair now, rotating slowly, reacting to Kalira's proximity. One of them drifted toward her, paused midair, and then sank into her chest plate like mist into metal. Ren jumped back. "Okay, that's new." Kalira's suit flared with light and her eyes widened, but she didn't panic. Instead, she reached out toward one of the glyphs. It responded, shifting shape, aligning with her touch. "Interface established," she said. Her voice sounded distant, almost mechanical. Ren moved closer. "Kalira." She blinked rapidly. "I am receiving information. Massive data structures, language matrices, emotional patterning algorithms, sensory pathways for neural bonding." "Wait, did you just say emotional patterning?" "Yes." Ren scratched his head. "So this ancient alien device is trying to bond with you emotionally?" "I believe it is attempting to comprehend my internal variables." He looked at the glyphs, joined the club. Then something unexpected happened. The chamber lit up fully, and in the center a figure began to form. Not physical, but a projection. A humanoid, tall and robed, with long ears and shifting, hollow eyes. It spoke in a voice that echoed in their bones. Kalira translated instinctively. It asks, "What do you seek?" Ren glanced at her. "You first." Kalira hesitated, her lips parted, uncertain. "Understanding," she said finally. The projection pulsed. Then the voice said something else. Kalira hesitated to translate. "What?" Ren asked. "It said you already have." Ren looked at her. "Okay, that's both profound and creepy." As they left the chamber, the symbols faded but did not vanish. Something had changed. Kalira walked in silence. Ren reached into his bag, handed her a jelly bar. "Emergency bonding snack." She took it, looked at it, then looked at him. "Is this a ritual offering?" "Only if you eat it while smiling." Kalira considered. Then, so faint it could have been a trick of the light, her lips curved. The station's lights flickered again. That made the 7th time in 2 days, and Ren had begun assigning personalities to each flicker. This one, he decided, was named Greg, an overworked light spirit just barely holding it together. He squinted up at the fixture. "Hang in there, Greg, we all believe in you." Kalira, standing nearby with a datapad in hand, didn't even look up. You are assigning anthropomorphic identities to faulty power systems again. It helps me cope. With what? The terrifying mystery of our place in the universe. Also, bureaucracy. Kalira's ears twitched, the faintest suggestion of amusement. She had changed lately. Not drastically, no sudden smiles or declarations of karaoke love, but subtly. She lingered longer in conversations. She asked questions without tactical purpose, and when Ren made jokes, she didn't always pretend they hadn't happened. They were in the primary systems room, examining the relay signals sent from the Exo 27C ruins. Since their last visit, the alien network had begun transmitting. Not in language, not in code, something more abstract. Frequencies laced with patterns that Kalira interpreted as emotional resonance. It is not speaking to us, she said. It is echoing us, reflecting what it senses. Ren frowned, like a mirror. No, mirrors reflect form. This reflects intent. Ren leaned back against the console. Well, that's not unsettling at all. Command had, of course, ignored their more philosophical conclusions, and instead focused on potential strategic applications. A Saurian admiral even suggested weaponizing the field to disrupt enemy neural cohesion, which Ren was pretty sure meant make people cry and forget how to aim. Kalira had said nothing during that meeting, but afterward she had walked the corridors in silence for nearly an hour. Ren followed her. He didn't say anything, just walked beside her. Sometimes that was enough. Now she broke the quiet again. Do you know why I asked to work with you on the original mission? Ren blinked. You asked to work with me. She nodded. I reviewed your records, technical aptitude, high adaptability. Elevated sarcasm quotient. Well, I'm flattered and alarmed. I had encountered humans in combat, but never in non-combative contexts. I wish to understand how you function. Ren raised an eyebrow. And after all this, do you? No. He laughed. That's fair. Later, in the quiet of the crew lounge, Ren found her staring out at the stars. He brought 2 mugs of something that tasted vaguely like tea and definitely like recycled celery. Do Saurians do stargazing? He asked, sitting beside her. Only when calculating trajectories. Well, humans do it for feelings. Wonder, daydreaming, romance. She turned to him. Romance is inefficient. Very. Also kind of amazing. Kalira tilted her head, searching his face. Do you engage in romantic connection frequently? Define frequently. She narrowed her eyes. Ren held up a hand. Not often, not easily. I've dated a few engineers, 1 botanist, and a linguist who spoke 7 languages and still couldn't communicate what she wanted for dinner. Kalira nodded. You pursue partners who challenge you. Sometimes. Sometimes I just trip over things and feelings happen. Silence stretched. Kalira sipped the tea, her face twitched. This beverage is offensive. Ren grinned. That's how you know it's working. She set the mug down. I have never asked this before, she said, her voice low, but I will now. He waited. Kalira turned fully toward him. Her gaze was steady. Do you love me? The air stopped moving. Ren stared at her. Is this a test or a trap? It is a question. He considered. He looked at the stars, then at his own hands, then back at her. Yes, he said, simply, quietly. I do. Kalira's body did not move, but her ears twitched violently. Her fingers curled slightly against the edge of the table. Her eyes, always so composed, flickered. She stood abruptly. I must go. Ren blinked. Wait, what, Kalira? But she was already walking away, fast, without looking back. He sat alone, tea cooling beside him. The next day she avoided him. She canceled their calibration session, rerouted reports, declined shared meal slots. Ren tried not to take it personally. He failed. By the 3rd day he knocked on her door, no response. He waited a full minute, then walked away. That night a private comm pinged his terminal, a voice message, short, hers. I was not ready. He played it 3 times. On the 4th day, they were both summoned. The alien signal had changed again. A new glyph had appeared on the surface. It was shaped like a circle with two connected arcs, almost like two hands reaching across a divide. Kalira and Ren stood side by side in the observation chamber, watching it pulse. Neither spoke. Then Kalira said, so quietly he almost missed it, I do not understand what I feel, but it is not absence. Ren looked at her. That's enough. She nodded. They stood in silence, watching the ancient alien heart beat beneath the soil of a forgotten moon. The shuttle vibrated more than usual as it cut through the EXO-27C atmosphere. Ren kept a hand braced against the console, the other clutching a thermal flask filled with what might have once been coffee, but had since evolved into a sentient, mildly aggressive sludge. The console blinked red in the corner. It always blinked red. He'd long accepted that as its way of saying, good luck, buddy. Kalira sat beside him in silence, her eyes fixed on the readout of glyph activity below the surface. Since the last pulse from the ruins, everything had escalated. The energy field had grown to cover nearly 1/3 of the moon's crust, forming geometric patterns visible from orbit. Some command officials had used words like artifact awakening and dangerous intelligence. Others had said strategic opportunity, and we should probably blow it up. Ren had rolled his eyes so hard it triggered his cranial implant diagnostics. Kalira, however, had made a choice. She had requested one last joint mission, just the two of them. Command had reluctantly agreed. Mostly, Ren suspected, because no one else wanted to get within sneezing distance of a possibly sentient alien ruin that talked back through emotions. The shuttle landed with a soft hiss on the plateau above the main chamber. They stepped out into the orange dust. The sky overhead pulsed faintly with shifting bands of color, something new. The air tasted different, too. Not metallic, not toxic, just charged, like the moment before a storm. Ren adjusted his scanner. Well, the field's spiking like mad, which is either a good sign or the alien equivalent of please stop knocking. Kalira didn't smile, but her ears twitched. It is ready. They descended into the chamber. The walls now shimmered with layers of translucent glyphs that responded to Kalira's presence. They parted like curtains, opening a passage deeper underground, one that hadn't existed before. You sure about this? Ren asked. She didn't hesitate. No. Good, we're still us then. The new chamber was vast, spherical, and filled with hundreds of floating glyphs. At its center stood a construct, part sculpture, part organism, part machine. It radiated a gentle hum. As they approached, it pulsed once, and the entire room responded like a single organism. Kalira stepped forward. The construct acknowledged her. Glyphs began to swirl around her in a slow spiral. It's waiting for input, she said. Ren rubbed the back of his neck. Input like what? A name, a password, a decent lasagna recipe. Kalira closed her eyes. The construct dimmed, then flared again. It wants to bind, it wants to connect. To you. To us. Ren's smile faded. Me. She opened her eyes and turned toward him. The system doesn't distinguish between species. It distinguishes between intentions. It recognized your signal patterns during our last visit. You're imprinted in it. Ren blinked. You mean I've been adopted by an ancient alien consciousness? In a manner of speaking. That explains a lot about my dating history. Kalira reached out to him. Her hand was steady. If we do this, we will share more than data. It will understand us. Our emotions, our doubts, our truths. Ren hesitated, then took her hand. Guess we're both getting therapy today. The moment their fingers touched, the chamber reacted. A surge of warmth, not temperature but sensation, washed over them. Memories, images, fragments of thoughts passed between them, not in words but in pulses. Ren felt her first combat, the loneliness of success, the rigid silence of Saurian culture, the quiet rebellion in her heart the day she saw him fix a broken heating vent with a wrench and a sandwich wrapper. She felt his small apartment back on Earth. The nights he stared at the stars wondering what else was out there. The ache of old scars, laughter during chaos, the way he watched people when they weren't looking. And then the glyphs calmed. The construct pulsed once more, then folded in on itself. The light dimmed. The floor beneath them shifted. A new doorway opened. Kalira looked at him. It has given us access. To what? The archive, the full archive, everything it has seen. Ren whistled. Talk about first date milestones. They walked through the doorway together. Inside was a chamber of light, floating projections of civilizations long vanished, stars born and extinguished, memories of beings that had lived before language. The ruin had been built as a memory bank, a preserver of experiences. It had waited for someone who would not take, but listen. When they returned to the surface, Kalira's armor shimmered with faint glyph traces. Her eyes were quiet, deeper somehow. So, Ren said, adjusting his dusty jacket, do we tell command? Kalira considered. We will tell them the system is stable, dormant, no threat. You're lying. I'm choosing discretion. He laughed. Well, that's romance for you. As they boarded the shuttle, Kalira paused at the ramp. I still do not fully understand love. Ren leaned on the frame beside her. Nobody does, that's kind of the point. She looked at him, but you meant it. When you said it. He nodded, still do. She studied his face, then said quietly, I'm beginning to understand. As the shuttle lifted off, the glyphs below flickered once.